Let's get started. So it's 5:03 on Wednesday, May 9th, 2018, and I'll call to order the monthly meeting of the Hannaford Regional Technical School District. In front of you, you have a draft. Approve the agenda afterwards. We'll start off with introduction of board members. Suzanne, would you like to lead?
Lorraine Morris, representing Addison Central School District.
Gibson Smith, the business manager.
Christina Macklin, representing Addison Northwest School District.
Linda Beard, clerk.
Dana Peterson, interim superintendent director.
Jason LaRock, Workforce Investment Board.
Missy Beckwith, workforce investment board.
Mike McGrath, Addison Northwest.
Glenn Schmidt, adult education.
Mike Abraham, community at large member.
Kelly Mills, senior students and assistant director.
All right, thank you, everyone. Next, to approve our agenda, you have in front of you a draft agenda. I do not believe we need an executive session tonight. Other than that, I don't see any changes to the agenda. So I got a motion to approve the revised agenda. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Almost forgot that. All right. Motion is carried. We now have an approved agenda. Visitor comments. Jake, do you have anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, it's gonna wheel. So later, I'm sure in Dana's report, he's gonna mention the bakery. Yeah, cool. So we have a couple days left to hit our fundraising goal, and I want to implore you to use the contacts that you have. Cities, villages, towns, centers that have maker spaces are more adept to handle the changes in the economy as they happen, not as a reaction. That's not my opinion. That is every single study of maker spaces that have been done by these urban centers. One specifically, a 2013 study by Calgary, basically said, if we don't do this, we are doing our entrepreneur base a disservice. So that's all to say, please, if nothing else, forward the CrowdRise link to your contacts. And if everybody gave $5, we'd be there in an hour. So, yeah, cool. That's all. Dana will tell you more.
I would be happy to, well, at the appropriate time in the
At the
agenda.
appropriate time.
And cue me, because I was you last night at the select board meeting, and I think I'm not going to forget that, but just cue me if I step out of line.
Cool.
So
That's all. Thank
it's
you.
an exciting update, so anyway.
Thank you, Jake.
Thanks, Jake.
Do we have any correspondence you'd like to share with the board?
Yes, I do, if I can find it. I have a letter from Janice Bosworth, and Janice writes, Dear Dana, after much thought and consideration, I'd like to inform you of my decision not to return to my teaching position after the current school year, and thus will not be renewing my employment contract for the 2018-19 school year. This decision has come after 11 years of working with students, teachers, administrators, and staff, whom I will miss. I look forward to spending more time with my aging father and other pursuits of my interests. It's been a great honor to work for the school system and teach students who have an interest in agriculture. Please let me know if I can be of any assistance in establishing a replacement for the course I am very proud of building up over the years at the school. Sincerely, Janice Bosworth.
Well, congratulations to her.
Yep.
Any additional correspondence?
That is all I have.
Okay, excellent. Next item is our consent agenda, which,
I'm sorry. I do, but I forgot to print it. We have a resignation.
okay,
2 weeks notice, well, actually, it's like almost 3 weeks notice from one of our paraeducators. I did forget to print that email. I thought email was going to be going. So we have just a resignation, a very respectful one from Melinda Smith, who has worked with our student support office, but I forgot to put it in my packet.
all right. Consent agenda, the meeting minutes from April 11th, 2018, and the monthly accounts payable for May. Do we have the numbers for the accounts payable.
Have them here. Would you like to?
I got them right here.
Oh, what you got?
Building and Equipment Reserve, $13,324.37. General Fund, $81,116.91.
Okay. Hearing that, would anyone like to remove, actually,
Mike, I have more than that on this page.
You've got more money? Excellent. I love when someone else has more money.
Spent more.
What's that?
The revolving fund,
Revolving fund?
and there's also a note at the top of 500.
That's
I
one
read-
that's-
I-
Yes, that's going to be emailed to me. correct?
Okay, so you haven't seen those yet. But I have.
Okay. Revolving fund of $3,857.96.
So you have looked at those, or you have not?
No, those I have not looked at. Those are quick checks, which will be sent to me and I review, and then email back.
So we'll be approving.
Correct.
Instead of not. Okay, so when we vote to approve this, we would be voting to approve them subject to review by the,
technically, we won't vote on it unless you pull it out. But, yeah,
It's already done.
semantics.
And then I review
Yeah.
them, correct. So I'll get emails throughout the time, and some of the stuff will be that I am approving and looking through.
We
So
can,
correct.
we can also, so if we're gonna have this conversation, we need to remove that. So so I hear that we want to remove the accounts payable for May.
Or put the revolving fund.
Yeah. Yeah, so, does anyone want to, so the consent agenda now consists of the meeting minutes for April 11th.
What I would recommend is leaving the
Yeah, no,
revolving fund off of
we
there.
can't because the consent agenda is already set. So if we want to have a discussion and make a
Correct,
change to that,
and what I had proposed is those numbers.
without the
the
revolving.
revolving
Okay,
funds.
fair enough.
What was reviewed today after I had left was just presented to me, which will be sent to me in an email for review. So we approve these, leave those alone. This will get there, I'll approve these, and these will be paid.
And then that'll get show up when we talk about it next month.
Exactly.
Okay, so,
So Gibson, would you make a note that the revolving fund needs to be reviewed, 2 sets of revolving funds need to be reviewed for June?
so once again, so scrap that, so we're not removing anything from the consent agenda. So where I was going with this is to have a discussion about any of these items, they need to be removed. The whole intent of the consent agenda, there's no discussion on it unless you want to remove it, so. So the consent agenda is passed if no one wants to remove either of those items. Action items, policy 2.1, treatment of students. It's a monitoring report. You should see a copy of that in your packet. I turn it over to Dana to present the highlights and to field questions.
I would just say that in many ways, we were just in compliance and following the best practices with respect to handling of information for students. All of our procedures ensure privacy, and we follow the appropriate opt-out options for information that might be considered directory information. If there's anything that you would like me to review in greater detail, I would be happy to do so.
Any questions for Dana?
One other, I could say one other highlight is that there's currently there's a discrimination statement in our student handbook. And for policy 2.1, this policy will be included. It was not currently in our handbook, but we'll be happy to put that in as a way of, an extra way of communicating our work.
All right.
Thanks.
All right, any questions for Dana? All right, hearing none, all those, and actually, do we have a motion to approve the monitoring report? Getting ahead of myself. Got a motion, do we have a second? It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Okay, the The monitoring report for policy 2.1, treatment of students, has been approved. Next will be policy 2.2, treatment of staff. That is also in your packet. And once again, I'll turn it over to Dana to hit on the highlights and a few questions.
The biggest one that I want to call people's attention to is probably number 2, intentionally violating the terms of either the staff or teacher master agreement. I think it's important to note that both Gibson and I strive to be proactive in establishing good communication around issues involving the master agreement. And this year, given the new healthcare arrangement that has been put in place by VHI and Blue Cross, as well as the collective bargaining agreement, we have tried to be proactive and get information out to the staff in a timely manner. We've had multiple meetings and multiple memos communicating what is actually happening, and we have striven to address any questions as they arise. So we try to communicate clearly about the transitions to the new health benefits arrangement that began in January, and we are now in an interim phase transitioning between third-party providers, and there is currently, and some of you are probably well aware of this, there's a blackout in terms of, what's that? A glitch, yeah. And so we have been in constant contact with both the TPA, the third-party administrator, as well as VHI and Blue Cross, and Gibson and I share almost daily communications to make sure that everybody is up to speed with what's progressing. And I believe we have a meeting with interested staff tomorrow. Is that right, Gibson? Do we have a meeting to talk about things just to make sure that we're all on the same page?
We need to discuss that.
Okay, maybe we don't.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'm not aware of that.
Okay. Anyway, that's my biggest highlight, and I think that's one of the major areas that we could have some concerns, but we are doing our level best to stay on top of those things. So.
Excellent. Any questions for Dana in regards to policy 2.2? I'd like someone to, if someone would like to, they don't have to, but. So it's been moved. Is there a second? Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the monitoring report for policy 2.2, treatment of staff. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Okay, the motion is carried. So next on our agenda, we have a series of corporate resolutions. This is a statutory requirement. The first one is to approve and sign the bank line of credit documents.
So if I could speak to that.
You sure can.
At the last moment, I was contacted by the bank, and they asked that that particular document be moved for the next board meeting. So if you could move it, I would like it if you could move ahead with the rest of the documents, the other resolutions, but the actual line of credit document that belongs to the bank will wait till June.
Which is?
Well, it's not, I don't think it's in this package.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So it's on the agenda, but not in the package.
It's not.
That's right. It was-
So,
Okay, so we're not taking action on that.
that's the first one listed there, Gibson?
Yes.
Okay, so that's for June.
So the next one would be to approve the revenue anticipation note, which is this one right here. Copy of it's in your packet. Would you like to speak to this a little bit? This is,
Well, it's
we renew this yearly.
asking for a board member or two to review our invoices and payments on a scheduled basis.
So do we have volunteers to review? Mike?
I can continue doing that? Yes.
And
When is this done? When do they do it?
We
Just
do it-
prior to the board meeting. right?
Yeah, so every Wednesday, or whatever the board meeting that day,
And do they have to be done together? Can you come in and do it separately?
you can do it separately. We don't do it together.
Okay.
You can, if we're there together, yes.
And how much of a time?
Anywhere from 1 to 3 hours. And then in addition to that, you may have emails throughout the time period in between. But 1 to 3 hours.
Is there a reason the two people don't do it together to speed things along?
You should review, we're not doing it, say Missy's doing it. I review it and then you review it. Two people are
Right,
reviewing
I
it.
understand that, but I've been on the finance committee at the high school in Mary Hogan for many years, and especially at the high school, the two people would try to do it at the same time to speed the procedure along, so you're not spending 3 hours by yourself doing it. You can do it like in an hour, the two of you doing it together.
That doesn't, that's how that was done, that's great. I review everything. I look at everything.
Right.
And then somebody else looks at it.
Right, well,
This is the same thing.
right, which
We don't sit there and go, let's look at this together. That's not how we do
Well,
it.
I guess I don't understand how these bills are exactly done. One would look at the bills, the other one would take the whatever it was and make sure that things matched up, and so, no, I mean, I'm just,
Right,
Yeah,
so
there's-
two people are doing that. Separate, either sitting together, if there's a pile, let's just walk through it. If there's a pile of bills here, I'm gonna look through those pile of bills, and I'm gonna look at the invoices. If I have questions, I'm gonna ask Gibson and Gretchen. And then I'm gonna sign off. And then I'm gonna give it to the next person. And they're gonna look through that pile of bills, and they're gonna look at, we have two people doing it right now.
okay, I guess we just did it a little differently. One took the invoices and one took and read them off, and we would match them up and make sure so each person was not necessarily looking at the
Right.
actual bill.
Yeah. No, we have two people that are actually looking at the
Looking.
bills. That's the,
Okay.
Just like to point out the wording here, approve a board member or two, so it looks like there's room for just one person to do it.
yeah. So Mike would like to do it.
I would like to learn how to do it, so it might be your,
Simple. It's just some time.
So would you like to do it, Lorraine?
Well, I'm not sure I have 3 hours to devote to doing the bills.
Well, fortunately, today was only an hour.
And the other thing I would just say with bills and the other schools I've done in the past, we would put any two board members and have more than two people assigned. So if for some reason one of those two people is not available, there are people who can do it instead. So I am not necessarily against doing them if needed, but I'm not sure I want to commit to. I guess I would like to know exactly what it entails before I would commit to it.
When I've done it, it's anywhere from an hour to, 2
Not
hours.
specific people, I think I've done it with mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
it
it
might.
sounds like you did it a different way. That's fantastic. I think that's great, but the way we've worked it out, we can't always be there together. So there's the bills, and there they are, and it's my responsibility to look at it, and it was Mark's responsibility to look at it and to go through it.
Yeah, no, I agree, and we weren't always together doing it, it just speeds it along if there's two people. So I'm suggesting it might be worthwhile to say any two board members, unless you've never had any problem with the only two people doing it.
This system's worked fine. We've had, if you guys would like to change it, we're.
Well, and we always have had the ability to have another board member fill in. Just like Mike did one time, and I think someone else came in.
But if this is authorizing two specific board members, then that's,
So one of the things that does happen, I've reviewed them a few times in lieu when they're not there, and as board chair, I can do that.
which is why I would suggest saying any two board members. Otherwise, you are authorizing two specific board members to look at them.
Board. So the way I'm reading this is we can act on it if one board member is reviewing them. We don't need two board members to review them. Unless, well, I guess you could argue that,
Doesn't sound like it's specific to any board members. It could say any board member, but it says a board member.
No,
Any
it
board member.
says it's authorizing the following board member
Yeah.
or members, and the two board members that
Yeah.
are being authorized are listed. So
Yeah.
it's specific board members.
Yeah.
Which is why
Oh, I'm looking at
we
the
changed it.
So-
Oh, this.
so what's your pleasure? Do we
Do
have,
you want to
Oh, I
ensure
see. On
that
this
two
side,
people
yeah.
look at it, or?
I would.
I'm in.
you're in. Do we have
Are
another?
you in, yes?
And, or do we have a motion to, a motion to change the resolution? So those are our options right now. So would you like to make a
I would
motion?
make a motion to change the resolution to any two board members.
Without designation?
Without designation.
Right, without designation. That way,
Okay,
if,
so the motion's been made. Is there a second on that motion?
Can I just, not to prolong this, but
Well,
if it's.
we either have to take a second or so, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so it's seconded. Okay, discussion?
If it's any two, that doesn't give any, or if it's any board member, then no one has responsibility for it?
That would be my concern.
Yeah.
well, I can only speak to the way we did it on the other schools I've been involved with. There was a finance committee who was responsible for overviewing the bills. If for some reason members of the finance committee could not make it, we had 3 people on the finance committee, so any 2 of them, but any board member on the board was able to do the bills. So if for some reason,
So I sit on the ACSD board, and I'm not on the finance committee. And there's been several times that I've been called in and asked if I could go in and review the bills, because for some strange reason, the last time I did it, the entire finance committee was not available, so I went in with someone else that's also on the ACSD board, and we did it together.
well, they're now on the ACSD board, you don't have to be on the finance committee. They're
Right.
just asking for volunteers to come in and read, so any board member might be going in to do it.
I vote Mark doesn't.
Is there any,
Mark said-
is there any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of amending the corporate resolution to read any 2 board members, signify by saying aye. All those opposed, signify by saying nay.
Gonna have to raise.
Yeah, we're gonna have to show hands. So all those in favor, raise their hand. We have 1, 2, 3. All those opposed, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so.
2 abstentions?
Abstaining.
1 abstention.
2 abstentions.
3 abstentions?
No, 1, 2. Mark and
Okay, 2 abstentions.
Allison.
All right, so the motion did not carry. So before us, we have the corporate resolution. Do we have a motion to accept it? Or, yeah, do we have a motion to accept it as it stands?
What do I say?
So moved.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
I have
Right.
a question. So
Yeah.
are you gonna name a specific board member?
Yes, so Mike,
And that's gonna be
Mike
Okay.
and Lorraine's not interested or not sure about time
I'm
commitment.
not sure, I would like to see what I'm actually doing before I commit to it.
Okay,
I'm agreeing to.
okay.
So
So,
those 2 board members are the only 2 board members who can read the bills.
yep, and that's how it's been,
Okay.
structured. We haven't necessarily had a problem with it that I recall. Gibson?
That hasn't been a problem. And
Okay. So it's been moved and seconded to accept with Mike and Melissa as the 2 board members reviewing the invoices. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Okay. Motion is carried. Let's fill that out before we go. Next item is the
Signatures on account.
so actually I got them out of order. So this is would be to approve the revenue anticipation note, which is
The second.
this document right here. Actually, signatures on account.
No, signatures on account is the third one, is this one.
So it's this document right here. So this is the corporate resolution for a line of credit with the National Bank, through the National Bank of Middlebury, correct? Yes.
Is this the one that they wanted us?
This is the one they want us to hold on, though?
No, this is actually a corporate resolution. This is not the line of credit document. I mean, the bank document is a document between
Yeah.
Hannaford Career Center and the bank.
Yeah, this is-
That is yet to come.
This is our corporate resolution to authorize that. Okay. Any discussion or any questions on this? I have a motion to approve this resolution.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Okay, motion is carried. Must send it around for signature. I'll start it here.
So we read this,
So-
this is signature?
So this is the so that is the anticipation note, revenue anticipation note. The next item is the signatures on account, which is this corporate resolution, correct?
That is correct. No changes from the year before.
Yep. So, this item to approve signatures on account, so it's this corporate resolution right here, it's a two-sided document. And basically what this does is it defines the signing authority on the individual accounts. By position, not by name. Any questions? Any questions for Gibson?
So I won't sign that.
Yes. Do we have a motion to accept this corporate resolution?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of approving the corporate resolution for signatures on accounts signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion is carried.
Jason, on that, was that first one we voted on for this?
The first one we voted on was this corporate resolution.
Gotcha, okay.
To-
So we didn't vote
We moved that one. That's the one that's the one that just is going around and we signed right now.
on, right. So I need to abstain from this one. Okay? Because I'm on a board, so I have a conflict, so I abstain from this.
All right.
Put your name on it.
Nope.
No. So that goes, that's got to get signed by Jan.
Okay.
All right. Next is policy KGA, specialized equipment and machinery use. This is the second and final reading of this policy. It's a new policy that we looked at last month. There's not a copy of it in your board packet.
Oh, yeah? That's my fault. I can make copies.
Does everyone, yeah, we need copies of that.
Yep, I asked them already.
Okay, so let's,
That's one of the rental of the equipment.
that's the rental equipment. You should have one in last month's packet, but, so we're gonna table that until we get copies of it. Let's jump ahead while Gibson's making those copies. And let's talk we'll do staffing for fiscal year 19, new hire for ART. I'm gonna turn it over to Dana. Would you like to?
Yep. Kelly's handing out a resume.
Not my resume.
No. For the finalist that was brought to my attention by the committee, that finalist came in and interviewed with me on Monday and actually spent some time during the day on Tuesday here at the center. And so it is with great pride that I present the nomination of Eric St. John to be hired by the board as the new ART instructor. And you should have in front of you a copy of his resume. I will say this, the reference checks that were done were outstanding in my entire time as a school administrator or leader. I have not seen the level of glowing recommendation for a particular instructor as I did with Eric. I actually personally spoke with his immediate supervisor, who could not say enough good things about his ability to connect with students, to relate to the community, and to grow programs that are increasingly competitive and very successful in competitions. So I'll let Kelly say a little bit more, because Kelly did a very capable job of leading the search committee in this venture, and whose committee made the final recommendation to me.
So, as I mentioned before, the committee was consisted of Lisa Rader, who's our design and illustration instructor, 2 students from ART. One of them is a second-year student in performance, or excuse me, in technical theater, and then the other is a first-year student in the performance. And then 2 advisory board members. One is Karen Lefko, who is a professional actor, and then Don Wagner, who is a professional stage manager who recently moved back from Vermont. She was at Radio City Music Hall for 7 years, and including the Christmas Spectacular. That's what she did. So she's got quite a bit of talent. She now is an instructor up at UVM, and her husband is also a working actor. So we had, I think, an excellent cross-section of interested and talented parties in terms of being able to select these individuals. So Eric rose to the top very quickly. We did a Skype interview with him, and he answered all of our questions perfectly. And after we hung up from talking to him, we were like, oh my goodness, this guy seems to be it. So because he was such a far distance away, we asked if he'd be willing to videotape his lessons, because he also teaches performance theater and technical theater, which he did. Like within 24 hours, we had in our email boxes videos of this man's talent. And to see him interact with students was just magic. So we interviewed a few other people. We made recommendation to Dana unanimously that he was the individual we wanted to recommend for an offer. And in the meantime, Eric had said to me, I would love to come up if you'd like to see me. And this is even before he knew he was going to be offered the job. And I was like, that would be terrific. So we had it all planned out that he was going to arrive yesterday. Now, the magic beyond this man's talents and experience, he readily said the reason why he wanted to move to Vermont was because his wife's family is from Colchester, and they have a daughter who's 11, and they want to raise her here. So this was just serendipity. Everything was coming at the same time, just seemed to work out for him. The other piece that he mentioned was that he wanted to, try career in technical education, which we thought was pretty cool. So he came up, like I said, met with the interview team on Monday. Yesterday he was in ART, both sections. He spent the entire day with Steve, taught a little snippet of a lesson in the morning and again in the afternoon, and everybody was just like, wow, this is going to be fantastic. So he spoke with Dana and I at the end of the day, because he flew out this morning back home, and he said he'd have an answer for us, and he sure did. I think we had it in our inboxes by 1 o'clock this afternoon, so seems to be falling into place, and we're really pleased. So looking forward to have you folks meeting him when he's...
And he's already licensed in the state of Vermont.
That's right, that's the other thing. So he's licensed in English and theater in the state of Vermont already, proactively. So all we need to do is work on his certification in career and technical education, which should be a shoo-in. So it's all good.
Excellent.
Any questions? Thank you.
Well, thank you.
It was really neat. I'm
Excellent.
glad for the opportunity.
And I'd like to formally just recognize again the work that Kelly and the entire search committee, the work that the search committee did for finding this candidate, because they reviewed quite a few applications. We had over 24. I don't know that the committee
Close
reviewed
to
those.
20 applicants.
Yeah, and they reviewed several of them and then made decisions to interview. You interviewed 4?
We interviewed 7 people.
7, okay.
Yeah.
And so the process was extremely thorough.
Thank you.
So thank you, and please pass along my congratulations to the rest of the group.
All right. So we need to take action on this
Yes.
as a statutory requirement. So do we have a motion to accept the new hire for ART? It's been moved. Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Okay, so back up on our agenda to approve policy KGA, specialized equipment / machinery use policy. This is the second and final reading. We took this up last month for its first reading. This is a policy that is broken out of another policy. Are there any questions on this new policy? All right. Take a motion to approve. Second. Been moved and seconded to approve the policy KGA, specialized equipment / machinery use policy. Is there any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. All right. Policy's been approved. Next item, which is also a statutory requirement, new course offerings. New course offering support pending state approval, the computer science and programming. Dana and Jake have been working on. Dana's handing out the course description. When are we expecting state approval on this?
I spoke with Jay Ramsey. He said that they have several requests that they have to be acting on. He and I have been in close conversation. I think we have a couple of documents that will allow our application to be completed. Anything you want to say?
Just that the minutes from this meeting saying you approve moving forward is one of the required documents.
Yep. Actually, it was clarified with me that it's a recommendation and it's expedite the process, not a statutory requirement. However, you can say valuable to have that support. Generally, that's the work of the lab before it gets proposed to regular supervisory commission. So that's a responsibility this board can execute as a lab.
Any questions for Dana? Mark?
Yeah, it mentions it's a year-long program, so a student will enroll in the fall and be here again in the
Spring.
Spring, and it's a half-a-day program?
That's correct.
One of the most intensive types of programs that are offered, and there's a lot of training to go along with that, which is provided free of charge, and Jake is already registered to participate in that training.
Is that okay? What did you say?
There's a training for the implementation of the curriculum, and that is provided free of charge.
Oh, okay. And this would take place hopefully this fall, starting?
We've already had signups, have 10 students enrolled.
We have 10 students.
Should I just be 8? It's either 8 or 10, I can't remember. I have a lot of numbers floating around in my head, but it's a healthy enrollment.
And what's the
So-
enrollment?
16.
So what happens if 8 to 10 show up on first day in September, and then 5 to 6 show up first day in second semester?
They can't.
They have to continue, what do you mean?
The program runs all year, so they know it's all year.
So that means they're planning on a year-long commitment?
Correct. So they could, go ahead, Jake.
Which is the norm for CTE programs. The semesterization of our programs is only a recent evolution.
Most of which
programs,
is great.
right.
So our programs have been modularized, but this particular one is, I don't think, modularized in terms of its design.
In its current state, first year, I plan on running it exactly the way the curriculum provider recommends it to be run. And that is as a 36-week long intensive AP test preparing computer science programming course.
I will have to make a note that this type of programming, I've been in contact with Oscar, who works under Jay Ramsey, and he is looking into how to roll out more offerings of this nature across the state, making it available to more students. So he was very pleased that we are taking this step to offer this to our students because of its value. Yes?
Another plug on that level, at least 15 states nationally have already adopted this curriculum as, oh, you're scratching your arm, as their state endorsed computer science programming curriculum at the high school level. I don't know if Vermont is moving that way or not, but.
Is this available for both juniors and seniors?
Correct.
So if a junior does it, they would be a completer at the end of their junior year?
Correct.
Do you have plans to offer a second?
Yes, I do. There's also, there is a new applicant who is a 10th grader, which we can accept per state statute, but it's not advertised as being open to 10th graders. This particular 10th grader has a phenomenal skill set, and someone I've worked with for 2 years already.
Interesting. Allison?
Are you looking to offer a certain certification, like Microsoft or Apple or?
Yeah, so there is a program, it's a JavaScript certification. Thank you. It's a JavaScript programmer certification. And beyond that, students that choose to take the AP Computer Science exam will have the chance to do so. I'm not requiring that because that introduces a financial component.
And this is not technically an AP preparation type of course that's aligned, that is sponsored or offered by who is it? Brian Blank, AP provider in New Jersey. Anyway. It'll come.
The College Board.
College Board.
Excellent. Any additional questions? Allison?
Do you have local employers that this kind of a person would
Yes.
go right into?
Yes. Part of the application requirements is to establish industry connections. So yeah, there's a few. There will be more as soon as I become aware of all of them. Computer science and programming specifically companies aren't necessarily brick and mortar in the sense of hanging a sign out front.
Right.
But there is a requirement by the state, that's another one of the areas that we have to demonstrate to AOE that we have established, and that's an advisory board with members from the community in that industry. So we're working on that as well. And so that's to speak to your point, Allison, about the connections. But through that process and through others, Jake will have more connections that we'll be able to harness for our opportunities.
Good question.
I was just wondering, is this replacing a course you're already teaching, or is this in addition to what you're already doing?
I hope that this is just a reassignment of 0.5 of my time.
Okay.
That's what the plan is.
Any other questions? Allison?
I just want to make a comment. Thank you very, very, very much for doing this. This is fantastic.
Thank you for your support.
All right. Do we have a motion?
Move it.
Okay, is there a second? Moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion or any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of offering support for the pending state approval for the computer science and programming class, signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Okay, the motion is carried. Next will be our Perkins plan for fiscal year 19. Approving this as a statutory requirement. Dan will be passing around. There you go. Yes, passing this.
So while you are taking a moment to look over the Perkins FY19 allocation, let me just say this, our allocation has been augmented twice in the last 2 months. So I'm very pleased to let you know that our allocation for next year is expected to be about $30,000 more than our allocation for this year. So that has been a result of additional state funding, as well as, I think, some federal funding that came to the state's coffers, which was unexpected. And so we're very pleased to have that. So what I've done here is an overview sheet to give you the areas that we have looked at. We've talked about more areas than appear on the sheet, and I was doing some analysis just even around noon today to make sure that the bottom line matched the total dollar amount. So I have put this in a spreadsheet and put it onto here to make sure that all of the amounts add up. So what I've done is I've broken it up by categories. So we have the CTO and the consortium. Those are contributions that we make on the statewide level to have access to professional development, as well as student organizations, so that they can be, we don't have to pay individually for them. The state takes care of that on a blanket level. So you can see that that total is $98.24. Then I have integrated academics, middle school, high school outreach, and professional development and program improvement. So the bulk of it, as you can see, $93,000 is in salary and benefits, and that is to support work that is ongoing. It's approximately the same as it was last year. There might be a few dollars difference in terms of what has been allocated to support literacy and math. And I'm pleased to report that we have seen great engagement on the part of students. And this year, in addition to working with teachers on helping them improve their skills and strategies, the instructors have also worked directly with students, which is something that I have heard was a desire from the board. So that is pretty much consistent with the current Perkins plan. Then we have added $18,835 in terms of outreach and including that in salary and benefits to work with some middle school and high school students, offering one, awareness of the programming that we have, two, a set of standards for what we are looking at in terms of accessing our technical programming, and three, to help provide some direction and ideas about how students can experience both literacy and math in a way that is a little more friendly, so that they can remain engaged as opposed to being frustrated by traditional approaches. And also to invite some of those students to come and visit us on shadow days and to spur their interest in terms of CTE programming. And so what we're looking at this point in time, we'll have more information later, is anybody from 7th grade to 10th grade that might be interested. We're also partnering with our Sunday schools, and I've talked with two of them about how we can actually identify those students early and become a full partner with them before they even become our students. And that has been favorably received by the folks that we've talked to, the professionals. And that includes school counselors, special educators, administrators. The third area is professional development. And although that's a small amount, for professional development, it's targeted towards specific work with equity and helping us to be able to understand how to make our programming more accessible regardless of gender. So whether those are professions that tend to be female professions, which are underrepresented with males, or male professions underrepresented with females. And Wendy Pratt and I are working on a plan to roll out. Perkins is only supporting a small portion of that. We're looking at doing more beyond that with respect to professional development next year. And finally, program improvement. We are looking to support our initiatives and student access to technology through the purchasing of additional Chromebooks, trying to eventually phase out our desktop labs, except for specialized software that are needed for special projects, and allowing the students to have more access that would help them with both literacy skills and math skills in an on-demand type of way. And so I'm putting in, that doesn't cover all of it, but it gives us a good chunk towards helping there be a one-to-one representation with Chromebooks and students. So that's what we have. And there are a couple of other things that are on the docket that we might do amendments with, but for right now, this is the plan as we can see.
Excellent. Any questions for Dana?
I have the CTSOs, which ones are those that are covered?
FFA, Skills USA.
Okay, and then my next question is, under salary for integrated academics, you have
Yep.
salary for literacy and math.
Yep.
And then you have benefits listed twice for literacy?
That's a mistake. One is literacy and the other is math.
Okay.
So the second literacy should be math. That was my bad. Thank you. I took care of my math. I left my literacy out on. I was.
Awesome.
Thank you.
The Chromebooks, will the students be able to take them home with them at the end of the day so that they can continue digital and electronic access that they may not otherwise have at home?
We could certainly look at that. I don't know that there's any provision currently for students to do that, but at my previous school I worked, we set up specific agreements with students and their families to take those home. They had an additional duty of care agreement that they would sign off on, and we let them do that. So if that were a need, we could certainly accommodate it.
Any additional questions? Hearing none, do we have a motion? It's been moved and seconded.
Great.
Any discussion? All right. Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the Perkins plan for fiscal year 2019, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, signify by saying nay. The motion is carried. Superintendent's report. There's a copy of that in your informational packet. Dana, would you like to touch on any of the highlights?
Yes, and before, I'd like to touch on something that Jake mentioned earlier. I don't know if I put it in this month's report. Yes, I did. Well, I have part of it. Talking about the makery and our progress. We continue to meet. We have another meeting tomorrow. I think I forgot to send out an invite. Today's meeting was postponed to tomorrow. I think I forgot to do that. Thank you for declining my meeting that we're going to have anyway. So the Makery Steering Committee has been very active, and I have a lot of praise for them getting out and trying to pass the word along to the Community Thrives grant that we are pursuing. And last evening at the Select Board meeting, they approved a challenge grant of $1,000. So we now have two $1,000 challenge grants, one by Addison County Economic Development and one by the Select Board, that if we reach the $4,000 mark by Friday at 11:59 p.m., they will match it and put us over the top for making our $6,000 entry into a larger pool for competing from anywhere from a $10,000 to $100,000 grant. And
How close are we again? How close are we again? So you have
we have those two, but they haven't kicked in yet. They will kick in at when we hit 4,000 or above. The last time I checked, we have two counting boards, and one is lower than the other. We have lots of donations that can come in, but on our official board, we have, I want to say, about $1,500. So we have about $2,500. Right now, about $2,500 still to account for in order to have the other two challenge grants kick in. One of the things that we've been sending out is information that if we did as many or as few as 100 donations of $25, we would be done. Jake was talking about $5 from everybody. You can't make a donation of less than $10 on this particular site. So that is one of the things that we are making a last-ditch push to do, and we think that we're within reach of making that goal. But by 11:30, and I will send out again to you after the board meeting the link that you can then share with others. In the very beginning, we had some difficulties with the link working and with the donations actually going in. That has been all worked out. I've had 10 obstacles to overcome, and so far, I've overcome all 10 of them.
So hear that.
Thank you. Yeah, we're about $2,500 away from making that a reality. If we take all of the donations that have come in, total, including the two for $1,000 each, we are somewhere in the $4,000. But not all of those count.
Can you post that link on Front Corner?
That, in fact, was a suggestion that was just made to us today. So we are going to be talking about that at our meeting tomorrow to get that one last blitz out for posting in the Front Porch Forum. If you have, and that's what I'll say, if you have access to Front Porch Forum, and when I send you that link again, feel free, please, to post it on the Front Porch Forum, and I will certainly very grateful for doing that. So a couple of other things. We did also, another good news, we were awarded a Fund for Innovation grant for $29,794.50. I'm not sure how we arrived at that specific number, but from Middlebury College to collaborate with us to embed 4 college students in programming in Makery for next year. And we're developing an application process and hopefully getting that out to Middlebury College before the summer starts so that people can think about it. This grant will begin in the fall after students return, and we're looking forward to having that be implemented. There are also stipends for mentors within the Career Center, either as instructors or part of the Makery, to be able to work with students in both a mentor capacity as well as having student service mentors to be able to Career Center students. And we had our first conversation cafe on first? Yes. When? Is that correct? Did you mention this in your report?
I did not.
You did not? Okay. So, that's right, we talked about that. So that was a wonderful experience. I want to compliment Glenn and Rob Carter from Chamber of Commerce, who helped set this up. We had the medical profession 1 students come in and meet with a whole variety of providers in the industry, as well as higher education. And we had an hour service that was by the culinary program. And we are hoping to do this for all of our programs, many of our programs throughout the course of next year. It's been successful in Franklin County. And it was very well received, wonderful reviews from the students who participated, as well as from the providers who said it was not a problem with the advanced notes to be able to come, and they were very pleased to be able to meet such articulate students in the program. So that was very positive. So thank you, Lang. Thank you all again. I have many other things in here, but I'll just say that I've been working on schedule coordination with our sending schools, and I think I'm proud of what I'm going to say. We have Middlebury and Mount Abe with a schedule that will work for all of their students, only sending 1 bus from Mount Abe, and they can participate in both career, the full career programs, as well as the pre-tech programs. And Virgins has the pre-tech programs out at Virgins, so that's not an issue, and nothing has changed for them with respect to the full technical programs. And so with working with the administration and the teachers and the staff at both Middlebury and Mount Abe, we have an alternating day schedule, which is explained to them. So Monday, Tuesday, sometimes on Wednesday, and then Monday, Thursday, and then Tuesday, Friday, sometimes on Wednesday, but everybody will be on the same schedule. And if you think that that's confusing, talk to Kelly about what she said she couldn't do. It gave me the headache. I think we have people, and I did a brief run through with Bill at Middlebury, and he said he thinks it looks good. I talked with Jess Hurwitz up at Mount Abe, and she was the one who helped me come up with this funky schedule. So I want to put in a plug for all of those out there sending school in. Thank you all for your collaboration to help us make our program accessible to students also.
Excellent.
Sorry.
Any questions for Dana on his superintendent's report? All right, thank you, Dana. Next on our agenda would be the Dean of Students report. A copy of that's in your informational packet. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Mills to hit on the highlights and field any questions.
Thank you. So everything's in my report. I just want to highlight the FFA convention, which is at Shelburne Farms last week, and Suzanne can help me out there if I stumble. We have a first place horse judging team. They still have one more component to...
They were supposed to have gone Sunday.
Gotcha. To wrap that up, let's see, first place in forestry. And then we also have, let me see, was it third place dairy judging team? Yeah, and I haven't heard how the Gents did with their competitions, so.
We didn't place first in any of them.
Okay, gotcha. We had a lot of participation. Seems like everyone had a great time. Thank you, Suzanne.
The new state officers.
New state officers, one of them is Emily Jackson, a sustainable ag. She's going to be a senior this next year coming back.
We got Amanda Way, the new state officer. Actually, all my state officers this year, with the exception of one, come from Virginia, which is kind of interesting.
That is awesome. So, yeah, very proud of those students. So any team that placed first has the opportunity to go to nationals in the fall.
And we have a couple of them.
Pardon me?
We have a couple of them doing that.
Yes.
They have the opportunity to go. It's up to the team and the teacher if they choose to take them.
We have a history of good participation. We had several teams go last October So it was a wonderful experience, and looking forward to continuing that tradition.
Thank you.
Thank
That's
you
all I've
both.
got, unless anyone has any questions. Oh, one more thing. Please join us for our student recognition night on Thursday, May 31st, 7 o'clock for Gen Junior High School. This is where we recognize our completers. And last year, we started having the scholarships awarded during the day at our fourth quarter awards assemblies. And those would be at Middlebury Union High School auditorium at 9 in the morning and again at 12:30 in the afternoon. So we recognize students who are in the morning and students who are in the afternoon. And it shortened up the student recognition night considerably. And many people appreciated that. It was a long night the last time we did it. So that's something that we're going to continue. So please join us for, the daytime activities as well as the evening activities if you're able to. So we'd love to see you there. And I also want to give a shout out to those of you who attended the breakfasts on Wednesday and Thursday, and we'll do them again in the fall. So that's also something that has really worked out really well. People really appreciate that, and it's nice to have parents present to honor their children, and it's just great. So thank you.
Any questions for Jeff? All right, thank you very much. Was the Skills USA first place participants, are they headed out?
They will not be. They have chosen not to. Thank you for asking. Yep, but we're still having a tag sale on Saturday. We're going to continue to bankroll money so that when someone finally decides after they place first, they want to go to nationals, we'll have the cash.
So where is Nationals this year?
Louisville.
Is it always in Louisville, or
No,
is it moved
up until a couple of
around?
years ago, it's been in Kansas City.
Okay.
So the last couple of years, it's been in Louisville.
And the FFA?
Indianapolis.
Is in Indianapolis.
Yeah,
Okay.
but that's also historically been in Kansas City
Well, that's
and
what I was
Louisville.
thinking.
Yeah.
It will never go back to either one because we've outgrown both of them.
That's
And when
awesome.
you
Well, that's
roll-
great.
When you roll 70,000 plus Blue Jackets to a city, you need a big city.
Yeah.
So Indianapolis is bursting at the seams, so we're already looking for our next home. We're in Indianapolis for the next 3 years, and then who knows where we'll be. We normally end up in a city that holds a Super Bowl, because they're the only ones large enough to host us.
A lot of rooms needed for all
A
those.
lot of rooms.
Yeah.
A lot of
Members.
rooms. Indianapolis is fabulous right now because you can walk around almost a good majority of downtown under roof.
Yeah.
And that's the nice part about it, but
In the National FFA Center's there too, right?
mhm,
So, which is handy.
yeah.
Interesting. Oh, thank you. Thank you
You're
both. Next would be the Adult Tech Ed Report, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Schmidt.
I'll highlight, sadly, under the current programs, we've postponed our CDL course to the fall due to low registration numbers. I think that that's essentially a lack of funding issue. We're still struggling to find the best time of year to run a CDL course. Last spring's course was one of our most successful, with a number of our high school seniors who were 18 participating in the course. We had basically all of them access funding through the Department of Vocational Rehabilitation to pay the $5,200 course. We were hoping to do that again this year, and road rehab was out of money, so we had difficulty working with high school students accessing the class. Typically, between March and June of every year, the Visa Economic Re-Grant Program is also out of money, so we had part-time adults accessing the class. So we're looking to run the class in the fall and get those seniors who are good candidates for that class signed up this spring and hopefully participate early in the summer. So that's the sad news under the program under development for it. Still finalizing the summer youth works program for the summer, but I think we all been funded, and that will happen again this year. Since this report, we have taken LNA off the table for that program. They're having the students express interest in it so far. It seems like it's too intensive for essentially 6 weeks on that, but the summer program, we're looking at either doing something with agriculture or something in collaboration with the Maritime Museum for that airport technical program.
Excellent. As far as when do you know what the enrollment is going to be?
Just as a reminder, this is a program that pays $10 an hour for the students to participate. It has a cap of 12, and I expect it will be at that cap. Last year, I think there ended up being 12 or 13 applicants. We're hoping that this year that maybe, because we're getting started about a month earlier, that the application process will be more selective and we'll get higher quality applicants to be able to choose a little bit. But I expect we will be at 12 when that program starts.
Excellent. Any questions for Lynn? Allison?
Clarification for the CDL, you said it's $6,200?
52.
And that's per student?
That's per student, yeah. That's for the Class A, which is what most people recommend. There is an option of, I think it's $3,500 or $3,600 for Class B, but it is a little bit more limited certification.
Any other questions? Thanks very much, Lynn. Keep up the good work. Last item on our agenda is policy 4.1. Unfortunately, Mike McGrath had to run out. He volunteered to do that. Do we have another volunteer to address policy 4.1? Thank you, Mike.
We had a few side conversations during discussions, a few delays with some paperwork, but we were able to keep it on schedule for the most part. Good discussion, differing, people were able to bring up what other boards are doing, so good discussion in regards to that. A few policy questions.
Thank you, Mike. At this point, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.